All right, everyone, time for probably one of the last battery comparisons I'm going to be doing. We have basically all the iPhone 13s except for the 13 mini and all the iPhone 14s, the 14 Pro Max, 14 Plus, 14 Pro, iPhone 14, 13, 13 Pro Max, and iPhone 13 Pro. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of see how long these phones last. Now, this is a standard battery comparison I do. It's nothing crazy. With the timer right here, it's already been going for about a minute now. So I'll go and let them stand on their main displays. They're all on max brightness. They all have all the apps cleared out in the background, as you guys can tell as well. So no apps in the background. They're all at max brightness. So I'm going to let them stay on their display for an hour. We'll check back in about another hour, see where they're at. We're going to play some games here and there as well. So hopefully we'll see which one. In my opinion, I think the 14 Plus is going to outlast all these. But I guess we'll check back in an hour and see where we're at. All right, everyone, we are at that 1 hour mark and we are at varying battery life. So the iPhone 13 is at 93%, 13 Pro Max is at 95%, my 13 Pro is at 90%, very surprising. The 14 Pro Max is at 97%, 14 Plus is at 95%, 14 Pro is at 95%, and the 14 is at 94%. So I'm going to go ahead and probably load up Temple Run 2 right now. I'm going to let them go ahead and just play that game for like an hour or two, and then we'll see if they die down. And then after I might, download a really big intensive game so I can just kill these things even faster because I don't want to wait 10 hours again like I did yesterday. So we'll check back in. So far, the 14 Pro Max is doing the best, and the worst one so far is the iPhone 13 Pro, which could be because I use that phone. Battery health has, gone down a little bit because I use that phone every day. So we'll check back in a little bit of time and see where we're at. All right, everyone, we are now at that 2 hour, 12-minute mark, kind of, misspoke. Now, we do have Temple Run 2. I played a video on the background probably for the last 20 minutes, but they've all been playing Temple Run 2 for about an hour now. So let me go and see where they're at. My goal is to get these to die out as fast as possible. I'm willing to go ahead and, play as many videos in the background and everything with all of them. Now, if we go ahead and swipe over to the battery sections between all of them, you can see that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is at 87%, the iPhone 14 Plus is at 85%, 14 Pro is at 84%, iPhone 14 is at 81%, iPhone 13 is at 81%, iPhone 13 Pro Max is 84%, and my 13 Pro is at 76%. So far, very interesting, kind of consensus, I would say. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing, let them play Temple Run 2 again for another hour with this video playing in the background. And I guess we're going to go ahead and see what happens. Some big things to keep in mind, though. The 14s definitely, I think, have brighter displays than the 13s. So that is something that's kind of standing out to me. But we'll go and check back in about another hour and see where we're at. All right, everyone, we are at the 4-hour mark. I know it's kind of hard to see those specific phones, but I have been pretty much playing Temple Run 2, video playing in the background. I did load up Apple Maps at probably in the last like 2 minutes just to kind of see if it would let them die a little bit faster. So I'll go and be the judge of that. But getting out of all these apps on all these, you can kind of see where we're at. So with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, we are at 69%. On the iPhone 14 Plus, we are also at 69%. The 14 Pro, we are at 63%. The 14, we are at 59%. The iPhone 13, we are at 58%. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, we are at 66%. And the iPhone 13 Pro is at 49%. So keep in mind, like I mentioned, the 13 Pro has been the phone that I've been using, so I think that's why it's probably, I haven't been using it today, but that's probably why, it's the lowest, so that's kind of understandable. Right now, the 13 Pro Max is still doing very, very well. The second lowest so far is the 13, followed by the 14, so we'll go and let them run again for another few hours. I'm trying to get these things out as soon as possible, so I guess we'll check back in another hour or two and see where we're at. All right, everyone, we are now at the 6 hour and 24-minute mark. These things have been going on for a while now. So let me go ahead and scroll out of all these and let me go and zoom in. I keep forgetting to zoom into the battery lives because it's kind of hard to tell over the camera. I'm going to swipe these down. So let's get into it. So the 14 Pro and the Pro Max, or the 14 Plus and the 14 Pro Max, 46% on both, which is very interesting. The 14 Pro is at 36%. The iPhone 14 is at 30% right over there. My iPhone 13 is at 27%. My 13 Pro Max is at 40%. I don't know if you guys can tell that over there. And then the 13 Pro is at 12%. That one's about to die again, or now it's at 12%. Now with the 13 Pro specifically, as I mentioned before, I think we have to give it a little bit of leeway, mostly because it does, it is the phone I use, so there's a lot of background, apps and all that stuff. I didn't get a chance to factory reset it. So typically, I think that would be more in line with something like the 13. But if you were using the phone like a normal device, I mean, that's kind of the battery you would expect. So I'm going to let them run again for a little while. I'm pretty sure the 13 Pro is going to be dead very, very soon, followed by, I think the iPhone 13 is going to die then, and then the iPhone 14 a little later. So we'll check back in a few hours. I will say, though, the 13 Pro Max isn't too far off from these two devices, so kind of interesting. We'll check back in about another hour or two and see where they're at. So we are now at the 7-hour 17-minute mark. The iPhone 13 Pro just ended up dying, so that was pretty much the main development so far. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the battery life again, so we can. And the 14 just ended up getting the 20% battery whatever thing. So if we go and hop out of all these, we can kind of see that the iPhone 13 at the very top is at 15%. The iPhone 13 Pro Max right there is at 30%. The 13 Pro, like I said, is already dead. And if we take a look at the 14s, we can go and kind of see what's going on here too. So again, max brightness on all of them. The 14 Pro Max is at 37%. The 14 Plus is at 37%. The 14 Pro is at 25%. And then the iPhone 14 is now at 20%. So pretty interesting stuff going on here. Again, I think with the 13 Pro probably would have lasted longer had I not had all my apps and everything and the notifications, whatever. I did turn on airplane mode, but still it probably wouldn't have been that big of a difference. So it probably would have been better than about the same as the 13, so keep that in mind. But we're going to let them go for like another hour or two and see where they're going to go. All right, everyone, we are at the 9-hour mark, 9 hour 10 minutes, and the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 13 both died. The iPhone 13 up here died at the 8-hour and 34-minute mark. My iPhone 12 Pro, I actually subbed in for my 13 Pro, but the 13 Pro died at 7:15. The iPhone 14 died at 9 hours and 8 minutes, which is just happened like 1 minute ago. And so let's go ahead and kind of take a look at what these other iPhones are at. So luckily for us, all these other iPhones, I guess, are still alive, which is cool. Hopping out of all these ones, let's go and take a look at the batteries. So we are at 17% on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. On the iPhone 14 Plus, we are at 18%. The iPhone 14 Pro, we are at 3%, so this one's about to die. And all the way up top, if you take a look, the iPhone 13 Pro Max up there is at 12%. So as of right now, the iPhone 14 Plus is technically doing the best, followed by the iPhone 14 Pro Max, followed by the 13 Pro Max, and followed by the 14 Pro. So I'm going to imagine that in the next hour or two, both the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro are probably going to be dead, and these two iPhones are probably going to be, left standing. So we'll check back in about another hour, or maybe even 2 hours, and see where they're at. Well, everyone, we have now made it to the end of the video, and the 14 Pro Max literally just died as I was getting ready to film this video. So you can see that the iPhone 14 Plus just died at 10:51, and this one just died maybe like not even 45 seconds ago. So the 14 Pro Max actually ended up outlasting my 14 Plus, which is very, very strange, considering they were like neck and neck for a while. So they both ended up lasting, I would say, roughly around the same time. There was not that big of a difference here at all. So the first one to die was my 13 Pro, which now I've switched out for my 12 Pro just because I needed to use my 13 Pro. The second one to die was the iPhone 13. Then the iPhone 14 was the third one to die. The 14 Pro was like neck and neck with it, so these were very close to each other. And also, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, 14 Plus, and iPhone 14 Pro Max all ended up dying. I mean, within maybe like 30 minutes with each other for this one and this one, and the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. So there really isn't, at least for my tests, a big difference between the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Plus and the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max. I've done like 2 or 3 different tests between these phones, and I'm kind of seeing the same battery life between the 13 Pro Max and the 14 Pro Max, although I will say the 14 Pro Max will be better for the time being. So I will tell you, if you have the 14 Pro Max or the 14 Plus, these two phones should end up lasting around the same time in terms of battery life. I would still say the 14 Plus is going to be better because from the 2 tests I've done, it did outperform my iPhone 14 Pro Max. But I will say also with the 14 and 14 Pro, very similar battery life. I will say, maybe the 14 Pro will be better from this test, but it's very interesting that my 13 Pro Max ended up lasting around the same time almost. I mean, 30 minutes within each other to my 14 Plus and 14 Pro Max. So this kind of sums up this video. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.